Video has been making the rounds online since yesterday. Shows armed men walking through a building, knocking on doors and entering an apartment. These men are part of a dangerous Venezuelan gang, and their numbers have been growing steadily because of the crisis at the border.
There have been rumblings of new gang activity in Aurora all summer. Officials have skated around the topic, but now there's video and victims they can't deny.
It's really like being held hostage.
Cindy was a prisoner in her own home. She's lived in this building at 12th and Dallas for years. This summer, when crime got worse, Cindy got camera. Doorbell video shows a group of armed men forcing their way into her neighbor's home.
Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all for joining me here today. So today, guys, we've got to talk about these Venezuelan gangs that have made their way into Colorado, specifically Aurora and surrounding areas. We got to talk about this, the impact that it is having right now. But before we get into it, don't forget, like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, watch the video to the end. Let's get into it. So we all know that the border being open and is being overran by different parts of, from all over the world coming into our country illegally. But there are true gangs that have taken over an apartment building and other buildings in Colorado, specifically Aurora. There's a video that I'm sure you may have seen. I'm not sure you've seen it yet, but I'm going to share it with you. This is out of control, and this is crazy that people have to actually be afraid of being overtaken by these foreign gangs. Let's watch this clip.
We are now living in a time when foreign gangs can cross over our border and seize people's property at gunpoint with no fear of the law.
This video has been making the rounds online since yesterday. Shows armed men walking through a building, knocking on doors and entering an apartment. These men are part of a dangerous Venezuelan gang, and their numbers have been growing steadily because of the crisis at the border.
There have been rumblings of new gang activity in Aurora all summer. Officials have skated around the topic, but now there's video and victims they can't deny.
It's really like being held hostage.
Cindy was a prisoner in her own home. She's lived in this building at 12th and Dallas for years. This summer, when crime got worse, Cindy got camera. Doorbell video shows a group of armed men forcing their way into her neighbor's home. Another night, her camera outside captured two men approaching a vehicle, guns drawn.
What I am told is that police leadership put it out that no less than like 3 or 4 officers could respond to one of these complexes. I now have other property owners, other apartment complexes calling and telling me the same kinds of things.
Food is the biggest commodity over there.
Cindy says she survived the ordeal by staying quiet, giving them food and bed bug spray. Every night, praying she'd hear sirens.
They left us there to die.
In her new home, far away, the peace she feels is fleeting. Because for so many others, she says there is no escape, no
escape. I can't even imagine. This is wild. You see these guns that they have? They've taken over apartment buildings. This is insane. And this is dangerous. This is coming from our border being overran. Border czar Kamala Harris. This is what this administration has allowed into this country. This poor woman and all the other people that are being negatively impacted, they're afraid. They're scared. She said they left them there to die. We're being taken over. We're being taken over. These people, we don't know who they are. Clearly, they seem to be gangs. They're gangs. I mean, you cannot deny, and then someone else is going to come around and say, no, it's not really that. This is just made up, like the governor said that of Colorado. Please, this is actual footage right here. We are looking at it right now. And one of the residents, she moved apparently. She had to. Ugh.
Solution. And no sign that help will ever come.
The people working to defund the police are the same people bringing in millions of foreigners without any expectation to assimilate. These foreigners are being given money, education, and homes, while tax-paying American citizens are being kicked out of their homes and losing their jobs. Property taxes generate approximately 75% of a city's funding. And as the job market, home sales, commercial real estate, and the entire U.S. economy continues to plummet, the average American citizen will no longer be able to pay the city's taxes, and city governments will become desperate. Right on cue, the federal government announces it will be giving out hundreds of millions of dollars to cities willing to take more migrants. This isn't new. The Department of Homeland Security, who is supposedly tasked with securing the homeland, has already given out $1 billion to city governments in return for taking more migrants. And there will be billions more given out. This incentivized plan of self-destruction is scheduled to last another 2 years. The Venezuelan gang violence in Aurora, Colorado, is already spilling out to the surrounding suburbs. And Aurora is just one of many. There are hundreds of
Look at these cities that are being impacted right now. It is just not Aurora, Colorado. Look at what we have, and it is really bad. Look at the East Coast. It's rampant. Wow. Hundreds of sanctuary cities taking on these migrants, giving them hundreds of millions of dollars as a sweetener to take on these migrants. You know there is a sadistic, evil plan behind all of this. This is not just about helping people who are escaping a horrible situation in their own country. That's not what it's about, warriors. That is not what it is about. We would still need to think about protecting our own citizens, our own country. We're spending billions of dollars on these people, but we don't spend that on people who were born here, who put into the system, who pay taxes, who are law-abiding citizens. Instead, these people are given money and homes, and others are being kicked out of their homes to make room for these illegals.
Of sanctuary cities, counties, and states, all of which are losing money. And the funds being given out by Homeland Security will not cut it. They will only increase the amount of mouths to feed. As it turns out, the cost of feeding and housing tens of millions of people is unsustainable. And as the money starts to run out, things will get much more dangerous. John Williams predicts we will be seeing more demand for gated communities and private security companies.
A lot of these, new residents are coming from a harder world. They're coming from the El Salvadors of the world, the Venezuelas of the world. These countries where they know a lot of hardship, and they've come here for a better life, and they're going to do what they have to do to achieve that better life. And as we walk into the winter, it's going to be real cold in San Francisco, in Denver, New York City. And if they don't have shelter, they're going to take it, most likely. I mean, if the food cuts off, if the shelter, becomes harder to come by, if all of these, perks and things that were promised go away, it's going to be a free-for-all.
Last year, 139 mayors officially told Congress they need more money to provide food, housing, and other services to their growing migrant community. They wrote that both city government agencies and local nonprofits are overwhelmed and cannot provide the most basic assistance.
Where do you see all of this going? Do you think that this video right here is the end? Or do you think that this situation is very well the beginning? It's only 3 months until winter. These cities, they're going to get really cold.
I can imagine that it's only going to get much, much worse. And the fact that we have mayors begging Congress for more money because the demands to feed and house all of these people, the money is going to run out. And at some point, some of these migrants aren't going to have the food and the shelter that they were promised. And what do you think they're going to do? And like the man just said, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. This article is coming from usmayors.org, and it explicitly states, We are mayors from cities all over America, cities on or near the border, and cities in other parts of the country to which migrants, including those awaiting asylum requests, have come. While we welcome migrants to our cities, we need more help to provide them food, housing, services, and access to employment. In many of our cities, both city government agencies and local nonprofits are overwhelmed. They simply cannot keep up with the need to provide them this most basic assistance. Wow. And then they're saying right here, the supplemental proposal includes an additional $1.4 billion for the Shelter and Services Program, which provides grants to local governments and nonprofit organizations for temporary food, shelter, and other services for recently arrived migrants. Wow, and it says the funding is going to be most welcome, but in fact, more is badly needed. We specifically urge you to provide that $1.4 billion as a minimum and to find a way to provide considerably more funding than this to make sure that the public and private nonprofit agencies and religious organizations in our cities serving migrants are able to meet the need. This clearly was never a good idea to take on all these migrants like this. These people need to be vetted. It should have been done legally. And now we're seeing that it wasn't a good idea. Now we can have a heart for people, but you just can't let anybody in your own house unvetted. As many as will come, and then let the people who are living in your house starve and be put out on the street, because that is literally the equivalent of what's happening right now. This is happening under Biden-Harris. Are we really going to believe that if Kamala was elected, she would make things better? This is under her watch. She's the border czar. Make no mistake. This is what's happening. And it is not good for anybody. These people, when it gets cold, they're used to coming from a hard area. They're used to taking what they want. What do you think they're going to do to people who are living here in America already, doing like we're supposed to be doing? We'll be snatched out of our homes. Thankfully, I don't live in a sanctuary area. Thank God. I pray for you, for those of you who do, because it is so unfair. It is so unfair and dangerous. This is dangerous. The video with the guns, with the weapons they had. Oh my gosh. That's horrible. Can't even imagine. But we just have to be prayed up, and we know what we got to do in the fall. We know what we have to do in November, because this cannot continue. This is actually unsustainable for anyone. And 139 mayors across the country are begging for more assistance in the amount of $1.4 billion to keep up with the need. What's going on with the citizens who've already been there? Is anything being done for them? That's the question we all ask. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell. You all be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as they always say, march on, warriors.